Okay, that was weird. We're gonna try this again. For anybody watching this recap, welcome. For anyone watching this that was on the original one, I have no idea what just happened. But apparently, in the middle of broadcasting, it just dropped out. So I don't know if it was a signal thing or if that was on me or whatever happened. But yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, we're gonna try this again. We're gonna get back in contact with Orixa and we're gonna go through the whole thing all over again, and it'll be fun. But you know, thanks for your patience. I have no idea what just happened. It was weird. Like my whole Instagram just like frizzled and shut down. Anyway, hi. So I'm gonna kind of recap. Gratefully, we had just started, so that's a good thing. Um, for those people watching from the Bad Girl Good Human side, hi, my name is Jason E.C.Wright, founder and director of Burnt Sienna Research Society. We are a institute of critical design and research. I can't talk. Design, research, and critical thought. And we do this bi-weekly broadcast called Nobody Asked for This. Like an opportunity to talk to people I'm fond of, talk about the intersection of culture, process, and just really get to honor the people that I'm fascinated by, that I'm proud of. So today we are here with my friend Orixa Jones, founder of Bad Girl Good Human. Hi again.
Hey.
It's like, oh, let's do the questions all over again, right? But we'll run through this again. Orixa grew up and came of age in South Central Los Angeles and Rialto. Definitely falls in the millennial category, born in '92. So some of those visual references coming from there. Just a strong like identification with Black culture, Black visual culture, and with what she's built with Bad Girl Good Human, which we'll talk about. And what we had started talking about before everything just went on the fritz was where your interest in visual culture came from, and just like using visual narratives as a way to describe things. And you talked about everything as wide reaching as the Transformer series and like being into cars and things of that nature, but also watching music videos and understanding why you like camera cuts and pans and this, that, and the other. But it seems like you just really got drawn to the way of understanding something without it needing to be explained.
I guess so.
I mean, try
I
to
guess.
sum it up. But like in your words, like how would you describe like the feeling you get when you see something and you're like, yep, that's exactly what I wanted to feel.
I don't know. I do that in the privacy of my own home, which is typically where I am when I come across things most of the times. I don't know. Either I'll take a picture of it, or I'll save it, or something. Like
Yeah.
even if it's the music that's a part of the scene, I'll Shazam it, make sure I save that, or add it to my playlist that is hidden on Spotify called Film, so that everything, like, cause I like to do reels and stuff like that, or when I am doing a project with Donovan, like that's like my videographer. When I do a project with him, I make sure I go reference. Well, now I do. I'll reference that playlist of just
Yeah.
sound.
To kind of put someone in like your head or your world of like what you were feeling, like this is what I want to convey.
And
Right.
it's a mixture of things. It's not just one set like of songs. It's just a mixture of songs that I've heard over a period of time. That's it.
Right. And now you had some experience modeling at one point, right? So you understood about like setting things up and how to present yourself for the camera and how to like emote through your face and things of that nature. Did any of that experience shape the way that you see things, or do you think it just gave you a better language to describe the things that you saw and that you liked?
Um, it has definitely, yeah, it's definitely helped me be able to translate what
Yeah.
I'm feeling without saying anything. Definitely, definitely, definitely. I found that most, like, I mean, back when I was modeling a lot, like most of the times, it really was just about a pose and like, it's just looking good. There really wasn't emoting. Like, no, like you don't really catch the average model like emoting what they feel. 90% of the time, you just don't. So I kind of took my little emo self and my first love, and I kind of gelled them together, and you get the content that I now create today, where it's very, it's just a lot of feelings without the words.
Yeah, that makes sense. We've had talks about sometimes feeling like we're the only people that still use Tumblr. But like that's kind of a lot of what that community felt like, right? It was,
It's still like that.
yeah, like somebody that gets it without having to explain why. You worked a lot of different jobs, just, like most people do. How do we get to Bad Girl Good Human? How do we get to, oh, I'm going to actually be a whole ass entrepreneur and figure this thing out? How hard can it be, right? Like, how did we get to here? Do you remember what inspired it or where the idea came from, even before you acted on it?
We got to Bad Girl Good Human by first through modeling. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two was blogging.
Word.
That was just like, oh my God, like who's getting dressed every day to go do this shit? You know what I mean? That was just me on the the front end of it, not really knowing the ins and outs, and it was still kind of new. But from there, and then it went into photography. Oh my God, like I will never forget when I quit my photography career, which is very short lived, and it was just so I cringe every time I think about it. It started from those three places: so modeling, blogging, and photography, and those three components kind of like gel together, and then me just like navigating through the world trying to figure it out kind of helped me like move into it. I was going through a transition. I had just moved out of my grandparents' house, like my first time away from home. So it was a lot of shit I was going through that I didn't even know that I could go through. And during that time, in that particular apartment, Bad Girl Good Human was being like conceived, basically. Like it's like I had it in my stomach, and I was growing a whole ass baby. It literally took about 8 to 9 months for me to release the idea. And it just came from my experiences from adolescence to young adult, and now like a grown woman, like all of that compiled. And I used to just write. When I was writing as frequently as I was at the time, I just remember writing out Bad Girl Good. I don't know what the fuck was going on then. Those words just kept coming up in my head. Bad Girl Good, Bad Girl Good. But I hadn't had the human yet. Then it wasn't until one night, she's in here, Lacey, hi, I love you. It wasn't until one Friday night, I will never forget, we were downtown LA, and it was just a girls' night. We were talking like girls do, and I forgot exactly what we were talking about, and I started expressing the things that I like sexually and just how I am, and Lacey was like, girl, what are you talking about? Like, you don't do shit. Like, you are the good girl. Like, you are the little angel out of us. And I'm like, no, I'm like a bad girl, good citizen. That was my first time testing it out in front of people. And then Jeanette, I think that's how you pronounce her name, Jeanette, she was across from me, and she was like, not citizen, like human, like bad girl, good human. And I literally, it was like love at first sight. That I can equate that to like love at first sight. I was like,
wait, you knew that was the fit.
No, that's the word. That's the word. All just clicked. But that was in March of 2017, and I just sat on it. Like Lacey whipped out her laptop, wrote me up some like font. She carries her fucking laptop everywhere. I love you, Lacey. If you're still in here,
on the job.
And she whipped out her laptop. By this time, it's fucking midnight. And I'm like, ooh, this would look fire on some clothes. And she's agreeing. I'm on Tumblr pulling shit up. And she's just giving me like, she's like, do you like this font? You like this? She compiled it, put it in a folder, sent it to me. I didn't touch it. I didn't touch it until I was moving out of that very apartment around October-ish, lowest point of my life. I had to decide if I was going to go back home and be comfortable with my family,
Mm.
stay out and figure it out. And I chose the toughest route and I stayed like outside of the home. And I ended up revisiting that idea that night, writing it out, what it meant to me. And then I shot the girls that were in that very room that night, like my mission statement at the time. They
Yeah.
were like, oh, this one, that's fire. I said, okay. Then I gave myself a realistic deadline. I said, okay, well, I'll just launch this December 15th because it gave me enough time to like figure out, okay, well, how am I going to shoot this? I need to figure out the Instagram, what's going to happen. Like, it just gave me enough time. And then
Right.
those same, the same women that were in the room and a few other people that I had told, I just kind of put a bug in the air, like, hey, if this thing is coming out on this day, can you guys like either post it or something? It doesn't matter, like whatever, like, can you help? And from December 15th, 2017, my life has not been the same.
Wow. Just one time for that, there's an amount of courage in facing your fears but still moving forward that normally is the point where a lot of people stop, right? They'll be like, oh, wait, there's this much, or I have to think about this, or maybe I'm not ready, maybe I should wait until it's safe or a better time when I've stacked this amount of money and XYZ. And you are like, no, I need to figure this out by doing. And there's people that have done stuff like that, I'm sure, in your life and your sphere, like that you can parallel those experiences to. But at the time, was there any one person who you could think of where you're like, that person did it, so I believe I can figure it out? Or was it really just, I'm consumed by this idea, I don't have a choice but to figure it out? Or was there a parallel of someone you could look at and be like, yeah, I think I'll be all right?
Um, I mean, there's a handful of people that were around me at the time. Um, that I was just, just look to and be like, damn, like that's cool. Like that's cool. Um, Past lover at the time, just being completely honest, like he was somebody that I really looked to, like, damn, like you really, that was the first time I'd ever seen someone in my age bracket that was doing the thing that they love to do at the rate that they were doing it.
Yeah,
And it just I was like, yo, this is fucking crazy. Like you can really do what you want to do.
yeah,
So that also helped too. So it was a handful of people um that helped, like that kind of helped me just be like, fuck it, I'm out here.
yeah,
I'm out here.
yeah. And I think that there's also something to be said about, like, people say celebrity inspirations or muses or whatever the case may be, but like we're all consumers of the art that we see and then we create things with it. Um, I know that I notice everything from, traces of Rihanna, Solange, like very self assured, or like people that have decided not, oh, this is who I am versus this is who I choose to be, and I choose to fall into all of that. Jumping ahead a little bit, because I want to talk about your process of like what you do and how you do these things, but like the intention behind the name, the intention about living at this intersection of what most people would consider duality, which is really just the nuance of
Yeah,
being, right?
really
But
balance.
why was that important for you to lead with that intention of, no, embrace the duality of being both the bad girl and the good human, depending on who you're talking to? Why was that such an important thing for you?
um I've always felt like, and it sounds kind of like weird, but I've always felt like I've had multiple personalities, just again from a kid. Like I felt like, again, like if I'm listening to a certain type of music, I feel like a different type of person. If I'm
Mm,
talking to a specific type of person, I feel like a different type of person. Like you're gonna get a different side of me. So I've always felt like I've had these fucking split personalities. I don't care, like just split personalities, not on like a crazy way, but just like there's a lot to me.
like
There's
there's different things you can tap into at any
Yeah,
given time. Yeah.
yeah. I can literally just kind of like fall into wherever I'm at. Like I'm like a chameleon. Um, I can get very comfortable very fast wherever you place me. It doesn't matter. Like, I can adapt. And because of that, and just, again, growing up in the world, family, peers, just people you meet, like, people try to put you into places that are most comfortable for their narrative, for their life.
Facts.
And I noticed how that made me feel on the inside. Like, I don't really like that. Like, don't do that to me. I don't like that.
Yeah.
And you know me, like, I don't like when people tell me what to do. Like, don't tell me what to do.
Yeah. Or definitely don't tell me what I can't do or what I shouldn't be doing.
Don't do that. Just don't do that. Because it often it does not end well. But I think that is why it was so imperative to just stress the, like, no, embrace the multi-dimensional person that you are, because you are made of sugar, spice, and everything nice.
And also a fully loaded 45 at the same time.
That too.
If that's you, like, that's it.
That too.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I've always it's one of my favorite things to tell people about you is, like, Orixa is one of the most completely accepting of herself persons that I've met, while still looking at how can I be better? How can I be better for my friends? You're such a, like, passionate friend about, like, no, my people need to be good. I need to make sure everybody's cool. You're very big on giving people their flowers, both figuratively and literally will pull up and bring flowers to people in your sphere. That's not something that normally happens, especially when somebody's doing as many things as you're doing. When we talk about intention and how that intention informs somebody's process, we know your visual references and your approach to things. When it comes to Bad Girl Good Human, there's, of course, various elements, like, there's the branded apparel and the merchandise things. There's any of the projects that you've worked on, whether it's, helping guide visual things or whatever the case may be. But then it's also like, it's kind of like this hub or this space for women to identify with and feel heard and seen. And that process that goes into making a place where people feel cared for, like, that comes from within you. Like, you're a natural host. I remember when you took over Pocket Square that one time, like, it didn't even look like the shop that we had. You had created this whole environment, built this entire world for people to come into. How does that normally start for you? Whether we're talking about building a world in a physical space, building a world in a virtual space, like with a lookbook, creating a product, whatever. What's your initial process like? Where does it start when you have an idea or a feeling? Do you go to the notebook first? Do you create a mood board? Like, how does the translation of it from your mind or your heart into the exterior world, how does that process go?
Just going through my track record really quick, it typically starts from words. Starts from words.
Like a quote or like an actual, like, writing things out?
Either or.
Okay.
One line, it could be 2 pages, 3 pages of things. It starts there, and then I'll kind of just leave it there. But if it keeps festering in my mind, I have to revisit it. Okay, why am I revisiting this thing? And then it goes into, like, subconsciously looking or seeking out images of what I've written on the pages.
Got it. To visually match that.
Visually match that. And then it goes from, oh, I have these references, to then how do I create this in real life? Then I'm just playing with the camera and me and myself in spaces. Like, I'm known for carrying a fucking tripod in my trunk. Like, so if I see something, I'll stop, record it. I might not even do anything with it for a while, but that is the building process of it. Yeah. And then we get to the sound. What does it sound like? What does this thing sound like? And it just keeps going and going and going and going.
So how do you part of me wants to ask, how do you decide? The other part wants to ask, how do you know what's the best vehicle for that idea, right? Like, how do you discern, like, oh, this needs to be a whole space, or this needs to be an event versus, oh no, this emotion just needs to be a shirt or a hat or a tote, or no, this needs to be a whole visual campaign, or this needs to be stills versus this needs to be motion. Is it the feeling is just kind of like a, oh, that feels right, or is it very clear, like the moment that, oh, I see this reference, this needs to be that? Like, how do you determine what shape it takes in the real world from an environment to something visual to something like tangible or wearable?
I don't know, like just as a creative, you kind of just know the thing, like when you see it. Like for example, the book club thing I was telling you about, that image,
Yeah.
that again, it was something that was already in my head to do, but I didn't know how I was gonna do it. Then I said out loud, "Oh, I want to do this, and this because I want to, use my imagination again." Okay, we got that part. Still didn't know how I was gonna do it. I was just casually scrolling through, bam, saw a picture. Oh, okay, cool. Instantly, I
Mm.
saw the post in my head and what I was gonna say just by looking at the image. Like, oh, okay, I'll just say this and do this, and then I just did it.
So
But
it could
that,
be either end of the spectrum. It could be like have the thoughts, visuals, words, and it sits for 6, 7 months, or in 20 seconds, I see the entire campaign, the whole rollout, and everything immediately.
yeah,
So it's very intuitive. You're very intuitive with like yourself, which is
yeah,
interesting because a lot of people don't know how to hear themselves, if that makes sense.
yeah. I
And
don't know.
that's
I
a that's a
think
special
when I
thing.
see it,
Yeah, interesting. Like I think I've seen you do that. We never really talked about like unpacking like how it gets there. But it's always amazing. I'm like, how did you see that from that? You literally just saw like light coming through some leaves, and you're like, nah, but see, this is how I want like the treatment on the shirt to be. And I'm like, man, we just drove by a thing, and like, because your brain is like you're consistently like, it's
processing.
almost like a feedback loop. You receive inspiration and give it out at the same, like it's breathing for you. Like being this type of person, like it's hard to replicate what you do because it's you. Like no one can divorce you from your ideas or what you're doing because it's such a natural extension. Like
Yeah,
that's incredible.
that's why it's
um
difficult to explain. Like when people ask you, like, "Oh, so like, what do you do?" And it's like, I don't know. Like I'm just here.
Stuff.
So no, not even what do you do. Who does your marketing? That is like the second fucking thing I'm always asked when it comes to Bad Girl Human. Who
Like
does
as
marketing?
in what company you hired or who's your
Like
marketing
yeah, like
team.
who's doing this? And I'm like, I don't me. I don't know. And like the seven people that are on the committee in my head, I don't know. Like we're doing it. And I don't know, is this marketing or is this just, I don't know. But that's the terminology that is always used. Marketing, marketing, marketing. I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe I should look more into that. I don't know.
Well, I think it also speaks to the fact of there are people that went to school to study marketing, to study business, to study sales, to study art and art direction and creative direction, and then they do trash things with it because they're trying to get it right based on their professors or based on like a particular status quo. You're completely self-taught with the things you're interested in. So on one end, you know yourself way better than anybody else could. And on the other end, you're like, oh, wait, that's what y'all call that? Right at the same time. But you're doing by nature what some people study for years to do very poorly. Right. And that is probably what really messes people up. It's like, how are you just accidentally doing this? Because me on purpose is nowhere near as good as you are just doing this. And I think that says a lot to like understanding your own context, like where you fit into your own sphere, as opposed to, oh, I'm trying to live up to this title I read about on Instagram or in this blog or on
Right.
LinkedIn or wherever the case may be. Um, when we talk about contextualizing things, is normally when we say, who helps round out your existence, right? Like Kanye, Pharrell, Childish Gambino, Andre 3000, Tyler. Those all fall in a kind of a circle of things. Or, you talk about like Solange and Rihanna and Beyonce and, you know, and those spheres of things. If someone didn't know you but wanted to express what kind of an arc you would fall into, who would you want to be mentioned within for context? As far as like the way you approach things and the things that you put out with the ease that you do it with. Because I know how I would describe it. But it's like if you're a song, what song comes before you and after you? Like who are the people that contextualize you and in this particular practice?
I don't know, because see, that's hard if you say in this particular practice, because all the people, and it's not even a lot, it's literally like 4 or 5 people that I would name, and they're all musicians. So it's like,
Really? Oh no, but that's still fine. So who are they?
so number one, always and forever number one, and again, it was one of those things I didn't realize until I got older why I liked him so much, is Michael Jackson.
Word.
Kanye West. It's Solange. It's Rihanna. And it's Drake.
Fair enough.
Those are the 5 people that, yeah.
And that's
then it's like the subcategory where the Rick Rosses and the other things go.
I mean, I understand that too, because embracing all of the things, right? It's like there's this, and then you're gonna get this, but it comes together, and it's very interesting because it's almost like sampling in hip hop. You're a producer, like, wait, this was the record you sampled, and you made that out of it.
Yeah.
That's the thing, to have those as contextualization or even influences in one way or another, whether it's aesthetically or the way that they handle business or just the way that they think. But your application of it is such a unique thing that I think it really does drive people crazy when they can't figure out, like, how did she do that?
I don't think I've gotten to the application of Michael Jackson yet, just because it's so like, he just doesn't even seem like he was real. But I think with him though specifically, I am always in awe of his impact. His music was phenomenal. Like every time you hear this man, it's like the first time hearing him. Every time you see him, it's like the first time, and it's the level of impact that he had on people in the then and the now, and everywhere in between. And that is what I wanted for myself. Like in whatever I did, like I want longevity and I want impact on whoever it's supposed to be for. You know, it doesn't have to be like that large of like fame, that height of fame, but that level of impact is just so, you can't redo that, you can't remake that, you can't. So yeah.
Why is that so important to you from the impact standpoint? Is it something from your own childhood or adolescence? Is it something that you want to pay forward, or is it just seeing that and being impressed with? Like, what is it about making an impact in a very positive and life-changing way that is so important for you and the way that you approach what you do?
Because it's like, if you're not doing that, then what are you doing? That's for me. Like, what are you doing? Like, all this other shit looks cool. Like, yeah, I'm cute. I got a little bald head. Like, I kind of know how to dress a little bit. I don't got enough money yet to really, like, fuck y'all up, but I kind of know how to dress a little bit. Like, okay, like, that's cool, but what? But what else?
Like, what's the substance of it?
What else? Like, I live for, like, touching people. Like, again, like, actually giving people flowers. Like, no, yeah. It's one thing to say it, but the practice is where I'm trying to lie. Like, the theory sounds nice, but that practice, that's it.
And I think that you've done that in more ways than you think, especially like when you hear about people like, or seeing people like getting Bad Girl Good Human tattooed on them, or writing really long emotional posts. Talk a little bit more about that, like the first time that you saw someone get it tattooed, or the first time that someone that wasn't in your immediate sphere was literally like whole body taken over by the concept of what you did. How did that make you feel to see the impact even on that level?
Okay, so the tattoo was crazy. Like, the first tattoo was done in 2019, the end of 2019, and that was a really weird time for me. It's because my brother was dying, and like it was just weird. It was just a really weird time for me. And I think she sent it to me either before the anniversary or a few days after the anniversary, and like explained to me what it, like, you know, what that meant to her, and how she kind of like changed girl to gal because she's island girl and like all of that.
Word.
And I was just like, okay, yeah, this, I knew that this wasn't about me, but this really is not about me no more. Like, for someone to connect with something that much to go get it tattooed on their skin, I never thought. Like, I never
Yeah.
thought that, that would even be a thing.
Like that wasn't even part of your plan of like, this is
No,
what I want to happen. It's like,
no.
what?
I didn't even, I went into this whole thing with no expectations. And I think that this has helped me to not have expectations with a lot of things now, especially with like business, depending on what it is, business, and just like kind of just, okay, like I'm gonna just do the thing and not really like, I'm not really focusing on what's too far ahead. I'm just gonna do this, and then
Yeah.
what happens. And the result of that has always been like greater than what I could actually imagine. So it's definitely helped me with the expectation part.
And it's funny when you talk about the business side of it. There's a lot of standards that are real and perceived of like, oh, you're supposed to know this, or you need to do this before that, or you doing this, but you haven't got this together, and blah, blah, blah. What have been some of your favorite business standards to have jumped all the way over? Like, oh, y'all told me I needed this, but I did it without it. Like, what, like whether it's education in a particular discipline or going to school or having a particular title or whatever. Like, what are some of your favorite things where you've been like, yeah, I did it without that?
College.
Word.
I didn't go to college. Um, I will never forget that moment in the cafeteria in high school. Like, you know how like recruiters and stuff come around from colleges and like just talk to the kids and all of that.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget this old white man asked me like in front of kids like what was I going to do, and I told him at the time was modeling. Like, oh, I want to model, and he was like, you know, that's not sustainable. Like, you know that's not like that's not a fucking 14-year-old kid. You're telling a 14-year-old kid or 15 or however old I was at the time
Yeah.
that it's basically like, no, that's not going to last long. And I held on to that for a long time. For a long, long time.
When do
And
you feel that you got over it?
huh?
When do you feel you got over it?
I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know when I got over it. But it is those type of moments where it's like, damn, fuck you. I didn't need that to do what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Oh, or one time, again, it's like a college adjacent thing. I was like, I don't want to say dating this person, but dating this person. And of course, we went to his parents' house. Their parents are like that black Beverly Hills family that lives in Santa Monica. Their two children are in private school, and they like go to school with Chris Martin's children and shit like that. So me, little free spirit in a structured home, I was like maybe 22 at the time.
Mm.
Of course, they ask me what I do, and I'm at like a regular job, but I also tell them like, oh, modeling and blah, blah, blah. The mom proceeds to tell me that I need to basically get my life together because I'm getting older. Like, I'm getting older. Mind you, I'm 22, and you're telling me that I need to get things in order because I'm getting older. I swear to God, every time I'm in Santa Monica, I be praying that I fucking run into her. I pray that I run into her because it's like, where do you get off telling someone like what they need to do with their life based on your standards or what you got going? So again, it's another example of like, fuck you, I didn't need to do none of that, and I'm doing this.
Yeah. Mm. That's That's really powerful. That's also really wild. Really, really wild to say
I'm like,
that.
I told you that story. Yeah, I haven't told you that story.
Yeah, that's wild. Also, do me a favor, turn your music down because I don't want them to pick this up and then like flag this for something because they did that to me 2 years ago. I was like reading and had like Charlie Brown Christmas playing in the background and they pulled the video down. I'm like, yo, can I live though? I just wanted to give people some stuff. That's fine. But that's also another standard that is annoying. The point about telling a child or an early adult like you need to do it this way because this is what worked for me or this is what I was told or this is the way it works, and then to survive and thrive beyond that, not only is like that must be very satisfying, but also you're making room for someone else to be an example. Like, oh well, this person didn't do the thing you said they needed to do, yet they're way better off. And not only are they financially successful, they're happy. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that you're happy all the time, of course, because like it's hard being an entrepreneur. This is not for everybody. Like everyone's not built for this at
Right.
all. Where do you find the courage to continue to push forward? Because it's more than spite. It's not a let me prove y'all wrong. It's really like you're driven by the whole like okay, maybe it is that sometimes, but like it really does feel like you feel pulled by something greater than you. But like, what really is it that pulls you out of bed on those days when you don't feel like getting up to do the thing that gets you to the office to fill the orders? Like, what keeps you going?
Mm, gratitude because I once wasn't here. Um, I only have one life. Like I'm only here one time, as far as I know. Like I'm only here once. So just get on up and let's go. Let's go do these things that we don't want to do. And my little brother, my baby,
Who's the
my little
sweetest?
brother.
Who's the sweetest and also loves you to death, but also cares nothing about what you're doing professionally at all?
Nothing.
Does not care.
But he did. He was the first one to see the terracotta tea before it became my bestseller. And I asked him crooked pressed and all. I was like, Bubs, come look at this. Like, what do you think about this? He's like, this is cool. I like this. And then he took the first picture of my best-selling product. Yeah, he did. In the
That I
house.
did not know.
Yeah, in the house. He took the picture.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
That also flies in the face of another standard of like, oh, you need to go to fashion school to understand. It's like you figured all this stuff out yourself. Like when got the cricket, where like I don't know if people realize you were pressing all of the shirts for how many drops?
From the beginning of 2019 up until right now.
And you were doing every single shirt by hand, every single person's order, and then packaging them, and then figuring out shipping, and then all the way down from where you get all the materials and stuff. Like you did it yourself and also didn't have training. You had to figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah. Whew. We got to figure something else out in 2022. Quarterly drops, that's 4 times a year. That's it. Okay, guys?
Because you're a human and humans don't scale. Like
Right.
there's so much love that goes into the products that you create, the same way that you approach a space for people or putting together, visuals for someone. Like you care more than most people think is intelligent or safe. Like your biggest superpower is the fact that you care more than anybody thinks they even have the capacity to do. And it's one of my favorite traits of yours. When we talk about impact and leaving things open to interpretation in hopes to inspire people, if it was all to like just stop right now, what would you hope that people could take away from what you've already done? And then what do you hope that just the way that you live inspires people to take on and do their own version of it?
Again, my answers are so simple. But I would just hope that the things that were talked about, even like amongst the people in the community or like myself with them, I just hope that like they have some sort of takeaway, something for them, like something that is tailored to them that they can now like use in the world as a tool to like navigate better, whether it be internal or external. Something. I don't know what that something is. I don't want to dictate that because everyone's life and journey is different, but
sure.
Something to take away.
I think there's a lot to be taken away just from today. Things we've talked about, but also you're not one that does a lot of regular interviews. So to even agree to do this, not even just for me, which I'm very grateful for that. And I'm so fortunate to know you and have you just this close in my life to witness it, but also you saying yes to it, right? Like to share this with your community, to share this story in like a kind of a linear format that still has its off branches and spirals, and it's not done. Like there's still mad blank pages in the book for you to, you know what I mean? Like there's still so much more that you have to do. What's next? What are some things that people can look forward to, especially anyone from my side that's new to this, that may be just getting introduced to Bad Girl Good Humor for the first time? I don't know how, but what is next? What are the next things that that you can talk about? Because I know there's some things you can't talk about, but what are some next things that people can do that want to participate or be introduced into the community and the world that you built for Bad Girl Good Humor?
We went over this question, and I just honestly,
I told you I was gonna put it up here.
I honestly just, cause that
Well, there's the book club, right?
there is the book club. Yes, that's still being buffed out.
Mm-hmm.
That's supposedly, allegedly, the girls are saying that it's coming in December. Well, yes, the girls are agreeing that it's going to be in December, so we're trying to decide on a book. So that is a thing that's coming up. Potential programs or courses are coming up.
Okay.
Where I don't want to call myself a teacher. I'm not a teacher, but me giving back what I've learned and what is intuitive.
Like sharing from your experiences.
Exactly, because what is intuitive has just been here, and what I've learned is like different, but both of them are of value. So I do want to give that back.
Being the big homie.
Okay, stop.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of people signing up saying thank you, big sis.
Stop.
Or even thank you, little sis. Because
Lil Faye.
little fat stop. I'm not repeating these lyrics because copyright infringement. But the interesting thing is the number of women that are older than I am that I've shared your stuff with that felt inspired just by living and doing the stuff that you're doing. The more that you share and the more people get to see it, everyone's just saying the same thing, which is just please continue. If it needs to change shape, but whatever it is, don't stop. Because what they see is not what Bad Girl Good Human kind of like is visually, but how that becomes the conduit of like, this is me being Orixa on purpose in the world in a way that you guys can walk with me too. But it's like that thing in Forrest Gump, like running for his own reasons and everyone else started following, right? Because you're doing it for you. And, you know, shout out to Nip, like that marathon's not going to stop. Like you'll continue pushing that forward. But that still takes a lot. And I know that you're not the type to ask for help or anything like that, but I do know that like staff is helpful, interns are helpful, money is helpful. So anyone that's watching, if you'd like to I don't know, buy Orixa a cup of coffee or ask if you can buy out her whole new collection. Or, I don't know, go on the bigger level and be like, hey girl, what are your operations for 6 months? I want to put something on your books because office rent is expensive, living rent is expensive, gas is expensive, gas is expensive, gas is expensive to drive around delivering all of these packages. Renting spaces is expensive. Internet is expensive, right? And
Getting out the
also
bed is
food.
expensive.
You said what?
Getting out the bed, you open your eyes. It's money.
Yeah. So she's got some numbers in mind, but if you genuinely would like to support what Orixa is doing, tell someone. If she's doing something and you can't afford it, send someone that can. If she's doing something and you can't get in town, send someone that will. If she's asking for assistance and you can't financially do it, tell someone that can. That's how we support. It doesn't always have to be one to one. Sometimes it's circular. It's bringing the person that has a position to do the thing so that this continues to be a place that you can come to, because that's how we win. And that's honestly, that's the community building, right? Is there anything else that I'm leaving out? Anything else that you want to tell people that's coming up, or any specific asks that you have to build the business so that it can be stronger in 2022?
If you know anybody that is young that wants to be an assistant, call me.
Administrative assistant, production assistant, what kind of assistant?
Like, think Diddy early 2000s fucking assistant. Like, I need
managing calendars, keeping things,
yeah,
getting it together. Word.
Grinding.
Word. Well, hit her up, y'all. This is my favorite part. Shout outs, thank yous to people that have helped you on your journey, and just people you want to send love to while we're here, both on your channel and mine.
Everybody, all my friends, I love them. I love my friends so much, and my friends know who they are. Lacey, Jessica, Susie, like Bosco. I love my friends so much. I love my peers so much. Like, it's crazy. I don't think y'all understand how much I love you guys. It's actually insane. Like, I figured out, like, I'm in love with my friends. Like, it's so weird. It's such a weird thing. Like, wow, I'm in love with my friends in the way that I would be in love with, like, a man. Like, this is crazy. This is weird.
It makes sense because your friends are the people that actually hold you up through other relationships, and sometimes that's the more important love.
Yeah.
And you do a really great job of showing up for your friends. It's amazing. It's really amazing. I'm just watching all this love roll in.
Oh my God.
All the hearts going up. Well, that is it. You got anything else for me?
No, because I'm going to call you after.
Fair enough. Well, for those of you that have tuned in, thank you so much. Wherever you are, I hope that whatever time that you're spending with family, whether it's going and working at a soup kitchen, whether it's preparing meals for other people, or whether it's just, I don't know, making sure that your elders are taken care of and they're not doing too much in the kitchen. Like, I really hope that everyone is taking care of themselves throughout this holiday season and this just time away from productivity and work and just being present. I encourage everyone to at least Google and find out what indigenous land that you're on for this particular holiday season, just so that you know, and bring it up in conversation. It doesn't take a whole lot. Second thing is, let's try to make sure that we are helping someone that actually needs it, as opposed to doing all the Black Friday stuff, because research shows that it just doesn't help anybody. And also, nobody needs another gift that they're just going to hide in the closet. It's fine. You're better off just like doing something kind for somebody.
Okay, but I need that. So people come.
You need to just write down like a list of stuff where it's posted. It's like a personal registry. Like, come find me at IKEA. But all that said, we have, I think, two or three more broadcasts left in the year for Burnt Sienna. We do have the show and tell, which will be next week from somewhere in Miami or in Basel. Don't know where I'm going to be yet. We'll figure it out. Then we'll have one or two more. Nobody asked for this. And then we have the holiday edition of Show and Tell at Arcana. December 1st is the tentative date for launching the courses for people that want to enroll in the courses on the Questoning Standards, CSA, which is Clarity and SWOT Analysis, or the Soft Skills courses. That will be coming up very soon. And my favorite thing, we just wrapped up the 2021 Bernstein Research Fellowship. So December 10th, we will be taking applicants for next year's year-long research fellowship. If you have questions about that, hit the link in the bio, berntsiena.org, check us out. But make sure that you're supporting Bad Girl Good Human in whatever way that you can, because this is my friend. I love her dearly, and I'm very, very proud of everything that she's putting into the world, because she knows that in order for it to not be about her, it has to be all about her, so that she has the abundance with which to give and shine the spotlight on the things that need it. So please continue to support. But other than that, like, have a good holiday. I'm going to get back to my family who's making a whole bunch of noise outside of this door, and I'll see you all soon. So
Bye, y'all.